You know, we open it dozens of times a day without giving it a second thought. But have you ever actually stopped and wondered how that box in your kitchen pulls off its magic trick? How does it defy nature to keep your food fresh? Well, let's pull back the door and take a look at the incredible science of the refrigerator. You know that sound, right? That steady, low hum coming from the kitchen? What is that? And maybe more importantly, where does all that cold actually come from? It honestly feels like it should be magic, but nope, it's pure physics. So first, let's just take a moment to appreciate what this machine is really doing. We call it the kitchen's magic box, and for a really good reason. It's performing a trick that seems to break the laws of nature every single day. I mean, seriously, think about it. You've got this box, and it's sitting in a room that's, maybe 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 degrees Celsius, and somehow the inside of that very same box stays down near freezing. It's in a constant fight against the warmth of your kitchen. So how does it win that fight 24/7? So how does it win that constant battle? Well, the secret is actually surprisingly simple, and it completely flips a common myth on its head. A fridge isn't about making cold. It's all about moving heat. This right here is the number one thing most of us get wrong. We think of a fridge as a cold creator, but it's really a heat mover. A better way to think of it is like a bouncer at a club. It grabs the heat from inside and literally throws it out into your kitchen. The cold isn't something that's being added, it's just what's left behind once the heat is gone. The official term for this kind of device is a heat pump, and that's exactly what your refrigerator is. It uses energy to force heat to travel in the exact opposite direction it wants to go, from the cold space inside the fridge to the warmer space of your room. Okay, so how does it pull off this impossible-sounding job of moving heat against its will? Well, like any great heist, it takes a really clever plan. In this case, it's a continuous four-step cycle that just never stops. And this plan needs a crew, a four-part team of components working in perfect sync. You've got the compressor, the condenser, the tiny expansion valve, and the evaporator. Each one of them has a super critical job to do. All right, here's how the heist goes down. Step 1, compression. The compressor, that's the hum you hear, squeezes a special gas called a refrigerant. This makes it super hot and puts it under high pressure. Step 2, condensation. This hot gas flows through the condenser coils, the ones usually on the back, and it releases its heat into your kitchen, turning into a liquid. Step 3, expansion. This liquid gets forced through a tiny nozzle, the expansion valve. The pressure drops instantly, which makes the liquid intensely cold. And finally, step 4, evaporation. This super cold liquid flows through coils inside the fridge, and it's like a sponge for heat, just soaking it up from your food. That turns it back into a gas, and the whole cycle starts all over again. I know that expansion step can sound a little abstract, but I guarantee you've felt this yourself. If you've ever used a can of deodorant or any aerosol spray and noticed the can gets really cold in your hand, that's the exact same principle. A super fast drop in pressure causes a super fast drop in temperature. That is the real heart of the cooling magic right there. But moving heat is only half the battle. A modern fridge is also incredibly smart about keeping that hard one cold right where it belongs. The heat-moving crew doesn't work alone. Oh no, it has a whole support system. You've got thick polyurethane foam for insulation, acting like fortress walls. The airtight gaskets on the door are like guards, making sure no cold can escape. The thermostat is the brain of the whole operation, telling the compressor exactly when to kick on. And fans circulate all that chilled air, making sure every corner gets cold. And what's the result of all this smart engineering? A massive, massive leap in efficiency. I mean, just look at this difference. A refrigerator from the 90s was an absolute energy hog. A modern one can be up to 4 times more efficient. That is a huge energy saving, all because they combined that clever heat-moving cycle with way better insulation and smarter parts. But the science inside the fridge isn't the only thing that's changed. The actual chemicals that make it all possible, they've gone through a major green revolution themselves. Yeah, the science of cooling had to face its own environmental impact. These special chemicals, the refrigerants, have a really complex history. We started with CFCs, which you might know as Freon. Well, turns out they were destroying the ozone layer. So in this amazing move, the entire world came together with something called the Montreal Protocol and phased them out. We then shifted to HFCs. They were better, but still contributed to global warming. So today, the big push is toward even cleaner, eco-friendly options like hydrocarbons, which just goes to show how this technology is constantly getting better. So, when you put it all together, that humble box in your kitchen is anything but simple.
It's a finely tuned masterpiece. It's this perfect harmony of thermodynamics and mechanical engineering, and it just works silently and tirelessly all day, every day.
So the next time you hear that familiar hum coming from the kitchen, you'll know what it is. It's the sound of physics pulling off a heist. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other invisible science is powering your daily life right this very moment?